Hello everyone. This project is about using PowerPoint to make a creative slide and using some animations and some images with it. I'll just show you what my finished project looks like and then I'll show you how to do it. Here we go. So if you'll notice, you saw a dragon come out from behind the mountains, the rabbit stuck out a sword, and then the dragon flew off. Let me show you how I did it. This is what it looks like behind the scenes right now. I added animations, I added images. So I have a background image and I also have a foreground image and I laid it on top. That way, whenever I animate and I'm going to move it out of the way, whenever I animated things I can work with them, and then I also have an animation pane open here. Then when I'm done, I put this top right back on it. I'll just start a new slide and make sure your slide, just to make it easier, in the Home tab has a layout of blank. What I do now is I'm going to insert an image of my background. There's my background. Now I'm going to take this background and I'm going to copy it and paste it. You see it there? And I'm going to remove the parts that I don't want in there. So I kept the trees and removed the parts where you're going to be able to see the rabbit and the dragon through. So how I do that, by the way, on PowerPoint, if you zoom in and out, you can hit Control and scroll, or you can just zoom in and out. That way you can have a little bit of a work area. So let's just play with this one. We can move that one out of the way if we want, or if you know what you're doing, just keep it in that spot. I'm going to hit remove my background. And then over here on the left, when you remove the background for your image, there's areas to keep and areas to remove. So I want to remove this area in the middle, and I want to kind of remove a little bit more. And then I'm going to keep the trees and the bottom. Now you're going to have to play with this quite a bit until you get exactly what you want. It doesn't have to be perfect. The only part that you really need to be thinking about, and you can edit it later, is the edge of the mountain here, or the trees, the edge of the trees, because the dragon's going to come out behind the mountain. Here we go. You have to be kind of creative with it. And just get to where it's not in the way, and you can edit it later if you want to. Okay, that's the way I'm going to keep it. The pink is what comes away. So I'm going to keep my changes and lay that on top. And so you can see now where no one can really tell that that's two separate images, but you have an image in the front and an image in the back. So I'm just going to take the front. If you notice, if I click anywhere else on the slide, it's going to think I'm playing with this image. So I'm just going to take that and move it out of the way for now and play with my rabbit and dragon. Sometimes you'll accidentally get to a different slide by sliding this, and if it happens, you just simply get back to your slide. Okay, so let's work in this slide area. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. That's what I meant if I accidentally went to the other slide. Okay, zoom in just a little bit. So let's add I'm going to insert my rabbit. So I'm going to grab a picture and find the rabbit that I want. Okay, and you can close this designer if you want. Okay, in the rabbit, I'm going to take out the background, and I'm going to have to play with this one for a little while as well. Remove the background, and you can see the points here and the dark parts down here. I'm just going to, the areas to keep. Doesn't have to be perfect. If you're a perfectionist, this is going to drive you mad. I'm just clicking on some certain spots I want to keep. And you'll notice that as you click some spots, the other spots will come open or will become covered. And so you kind of have to just keep playing with it until you get what you want. Okay, and that's probably good enough. Okay, so you see this black background back here came back open. Sometimes that happens, and I'll just go back and remove it. So for this project, that looks pretty much good enough. If you're a perfectionist, again, help yourself, but don't worry about that much perfection in this project. I'm going to keep my changes, and you can see now I have the rabbit, and it's laying on top of the background and its own layer. So I'm going to take the little rabbit, and remember he was here facing the other way. So I'm going to rotate, flip horizontally. I'm going to make him a little smaller. I'm going to put him in that area. Make him, okay. I don't know if you noticed earlier, but that other little rabbit was a lot lighter, so I'm going to have to correct that image and the corrections, and I'm going to make him lighter. Let's just get one that looks pretty good. There's my rabbit. Now if I try to take my background and check it, see that rabbit's still on top because this is layer 1, this is layer 2, and layer 3. So I have to bring this guy. You can wait till later, or you can do it now to check yourself. It's just constantly be just bringing him forward. So now if I lay that over, you can kind of see the rabbit looks like he's behind the limbs there. Okay, let me move that guy out of the way. Now the next thing I'm going to do, add my dragon. So I'm going to insert, okay, insert, and now I have my dragon. So what I'll do now is the same thing I did the rabbit, is take that background out. And this one does a little bit better because my background isn't much contrast, so I'm just going to kind of touch up the wing here, touch up here, and that looks pretty good. Okay, my dragon looks a little dark, so I'm going to do some corrections with the dragon too until I get what I want. Now the dragon is going to be coming in from behind the mountain. So again, I'm going to grab my front layer that I want to have over the top of everything, and I'm going to now again bring it forward. And watch, you can kind of see now that my dragon looks like it's behind the mountain a little bit. And now we have a rabbit and we have the dragon. Now I noticed that on this front I might want a little bit more trees right here to show up. So if I want to edit this front picture, I can just go back to remove background and add that tree stuff back in. I'm going to do a little piece. And just check the other stuff, get what I want. And that looks pretty good so far. See, lay him right on top of there. Okay, now, or what I'm going to do is, now I know my rabbit has a sword. So I'm going to go move this back out of the way for now. I'm going to insert a sword. For the sword, I just found a sword online, a picture, copy the image, and just pasted it in PowerPoint. Okay, when I did this, I now am going to take out this background. So I click on the image, picture format, remove the background, and again, keep items, and make sure, I know this part right here I need to take out. I'm going to keep that knuckle in there. Yeah, area to remove. Alright, so I'm going to keep the changes, and you'll notice this little sword right now, about that size, maybe a little bigger. And if you notice that this little hand comes in front of the rabbit, so I'm going to send it backwards until I get it right where I want it, behind the rabbit. Okay, so now I've placed all my images. Next we're going to do is we're going to do animations. Now the way I had it originally is the rabbit is just sitting there. The dragon's going to fly in. So I have the dragon way off outside of the PowerPoint slide because whenever he flies in, I don't want him to start from here. I want him to start from behind the trees. Okay, that's where I want him to start. So I click on the dragon, animation, and he's going to enter custom path. So I'm just going to start him here, and I'm going to drag right to here. Then I'm going to click on animations, and you can see that's where he started. I don't like where he ended because he's too close to the rabbit, so I'm just going to grab, you can see that the green arrow is behind this. You can see the green arrow is where he starts and the red arrow is where he ends. So I'm going to click on that little red arrow right there, and I'm going to move him back where I want him to land. Now to watch the animation, you always want to open up your animations pane right here. So what I can do is I can hit play, and that's where I want to be. Okay. The next thing I want is for the little sword to come out. And how do I do that? Well, the sword, I want to start way back here behind everything. Okay, remember, whenever I have my foreground on, it's going to be covering that sword where it starts. So I want this sword to start here but end out here because it's going to come out behind the rabbit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a custom path. I want it to come from here and end up about here. And just go ahead and I just click back on my animations tab. So it looks like that's where it's going to go. So let's just kind of look. I'm going to put my foreground in front of it. And let's hit play all. Dragon comes down, sword comes out. Okay. Now if you notice, that sword came out pretty slow, and let me play it again. You were going to see probably right here that sword come behind there. So I'm just going to grab my foreground again. I'm going to go to picture format, remove the background, but I am wanting to keep this little piece right here. So it'll cover that up. So let's go back and let's hit play all. Dragon comes down, sword comes out. Now I like the sword to be a little higher, so I can just grab that red arrow and move him up a little bit. So again, play all, down, sword comes out. Now notice I have picture 7 and picture 8. This right here is when I click on it, it shows that's the first animation, and the second one is the sword. That's the second animation. What I want is for that sword to come out faster. So I click on picture 8, that's the sword. I'm going to go back to my animations tab, and I am going to make it quicker. So the duration should be like 50 maybe. And let's just see. Let's go ahead and click off of everybody, hit play all. Dragon comes down, sword pops out. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now the last thing I want to do is have my dragon fly out. Right now when I click on this picture, it is showing the first animation. So if I tried to change it to an exit, it will actually change my entrance. So to add an exit, you have to add the animation. And I'm going to make this one also a custom path. And I'm going to start him from where he was and draw him leaving out like that. And then I'm going to hit my animations tab just because it makes it easier. So you can kind of see how he's flying out. Now I want him to leave the picture, so I'm just going to make sure that that gets moved out. So let's see what this looks like so far. Play all, comes in, gets stabbed, goes out. Perfect. So I'm going to show the presentation and see if I like it. So I'm going to click. Uh-oh, I have to click again, and I don't like that at all. I want it to play one after the other without me having to click. So how do I do that? So on the animations, when you click on the first one, that one's fine to have it click. The second animation, remember that's the dragon coming in, the sword, the dragon coming out. So we have picture 8, the sword, dragon 7. So we want picture 8, the sword, to come out after the previous one. So The rabbit sword is going to come out after the dragon comes in. Then after the sword comes out, click on the next animation, which is the exit, and it's going to be start after previous. Now let's see, play all. That looks good there, but then let's run our presentation and see if it works there. So to get it started, I'm just going to click, comes out, sword comes out, flies off. And there you have it.